be giving a gameplay overview and review of the game Raptor, created by Bruno Cathala and Bruno Faidutti and published in 2015 by Matagot. The game plays in approximately 25 minutes and is suggested for ages 10 and up and accommodates 2 players. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode with To Die For Games. I'm Mandi, aka the Board Gaming Pinup Girl. Joining us today are Tracy, the gaming maven, and Stephane, the games teacher. We've got Raptor all set up and ready to go, so let's get to it. Objective. The game involves 2 players where one plays the female velociraptor and her 5 babies. She is trying to protect her babies from being abducted by killing the relentless scientists. The other player is playing the scientist who is attempting to neutralize the mother or capture 3 of her babies. The Raptor player wins if 3 baby raptors have escaped from the board or there are no more scientists on the board. The scientist player wins if the mother has 5 sleep tokens, which neutralizes her, or 3 baby raptors have been put to sleep and captured.
Components. A game board made of 6 large tiles with 9 spaces each, and 4 L-shaped tiles with 3 spaces and 1 exit or half space. All boards are double-sided. 9 action cards for the Raptor player, 9 action cards for the scientist player, 1 mother raptor figurine, 5 baby raptor figurines, 10 scientist figurines, 10 fire tokens, 5 sleep tokens, 9 rocks made of 2 parts each, 2 player aids, and the rulebook.
Setup. Let us begin by setting up the board. 1. Choose one of the 2 atmospheres for the game, jungle or savanna. This choice must be applied to all 10 tiles of the board. 2. Place the 6 square tiles randomly, forming a 2x3 rectangle. 3. Place the 4 L-shaped tiles randomly along the shortest sides of the rectangle that you created in step 2. 4. Place the 3D rocks on each of the spaces that do not show a circle or a half circle. 5. The Raptor player places the Raptor figurines on the board first, followed by the scientist player. If you are playing as the Raptor, you must take the following: the Raptor player aid, the 9 Raptor action cards, the mother figurine, and the 5 baby Raptor figurines. The Raptor player now places the mother and the babies on the board. The mother Raptor is placed on one of the 2 central tiles, whilst the 5 baby Raptors are distributed on the board, 1 on each of the remaining tiles. If you are playing as the scientist, you must take the following: the scientist player aid, the 9 scientist action cards, the 10 scientist figurines, the 10 fire tokens, and the 5 sleep tokens placed ammunition side up on the upper right space of the player aid. The scientist player now places 1 scientist on a space of his choice on each of the 4 L-shaped tiles. The remaining 6 scientists are kept in reserve next to the player aid. Each player shuffles his or her deck of action cards and places it in front of him or her. Then each player draws the first 3 cards of his or her deck and takes these cards into his or her hand.
General rules. There can never be 2 figurines or tokens on the same space. 2 spaces are considered to be neighbors if they are orthogonally adjacent. Diagonal adjacency is never taken into account, neither for moving nor for shooting. The half spaces are the exits through which the babies have to escape. No other figurine or token can be placed there. The only way a baby can move on such a space is by using the "a baby raptor moves 1 space" action. How to play. Each player chooses one of the 3 cards they have in their hand and then places it face down in front of them. Both cards are then revealed simultaneously. If both cards have the same value, they are both discarded and have no effect. If both players play different value cards, The player who played the card with the lowest value goes first and applies the effects of his card. Effects must be applied if possible. Then, his or her opponent will be able to spend a number of action points equal to the difference between the values of the two cards. Important. The player who receives action points does not apply the effects of the card he played. Now, let's take a quick look at what each card means for each player's character and how each player can spend action points.
The Velociraptor. Effects of the Raptor cards. 1. Mother's Call and Shuffle. Move a baby that is awake onto a free space of your choice on the tile where the mother is located. A baby that is already on the same tile as the mother can move to another space. This move must be carried out without crossing spaces that are occupied or on which there is a fire token. Then, shuffle your draw pile and your discard pile, including this card, to form a new draw pile. 2. Disappearance and observation. Remove the mother from the board. Then after the scientist player has used up all of his action points, place her back on a free space of your choice. On the next turn, the scientist player will have to show you which card he or she has selected before you choose yours. 3. Frighten one scientist of your choice. This scientist becomes inactive, can neither shoot, nor move, nor make fire, nor use sleeping gas until he is set back upright. The scientist player will have to spend one action point to set back upright, but cannot do it on the turn in which he was frightened. 4. Mother's Call ×2. Move 1 or 2 babies that are awake onto 1 or 2 free spaces of your choice on the tile where the mother is located. A baby that is already on the same tile as the mother can move to another space. These moves must be carried out without crossing spaces that are occupied or on which there is a fire token. 5. Recovery ×2. Remove 2 sleep tokens from the mother by giving them back to the scientist player, who then places them back ammunition side up on the upper right side of his or her player aid, or wake up 2 baby raptors, or do a combination of both. 6. Disappearance and observation. Remove the mother from the board. Then after the scientist player has used up all of his action points, place her back on a free space of your choice. On the next turn, the scientist player will have to show you which card he or she has selected before you choose yours. 7. Recovery ×3. Remove 2 sleep tokens from the mother by giving them back to the scientist player, who then places them back ammunition side up on the upper right space of his or her player aid, or wake up 2 baby raptors, or do a combination of both. 8. Fear ×2. Frighten 1 or 2 scientists of your choice, laying down their figurine. These scientists have become inactive. They cannot shoot, move, make fire, or use sleeping gas until they are set back upright. The scientist player will have to spend 1 action point to set each of them back upright, but cannot do it in the turn in which he was frightened. 9. No effect. Playing this card is a great way to get action points.
The Scientist. Effects of the Scientist cards. 1. Sleeping gas and shuffle. Put 1 baby raptor to sleep. The baby raptor must be located on the same tile as the scientist or on an orthogonally adjacent tile. Lay down the raptor figurine. The raptor player will have to spend 1 action point to put this baby back upright, but cannot do it in the same turn. Then shuffle your draw pile and your discard pile, including this card, to form a new draw pile. 2. Reinforcements. Place 1 or 2 scientists from your reserve on empty spaces located along the long edges of the board. You can only place these scientists on the square tiles, not on the L-shaped tiles. If you do not have any scientists left in your reserve, you do nothing this turn. 3. Jeep ×2. Perform 1 or 2 moves with a Jeep. When moving with a Jeep, a scientist can move as many spaces as he likes in a straight line, as long as he doesn't run into an obstacle. a rock, space occupied by a raptor, or by a scientist. If the scientist drives over a fire token, the fire token is put down and the token is removed from the board. You may split these two moves between two different scientists. 4. Sleeping gas times 2. Put 1 or 2 baby raptors to sleep. The baby raptors must be located on the same tile as the scientist or on an orthogonally adjacent tile. Lay down the baby raptor figurines. The raptor player will have to spend 1 action point to put each of these babies back upright, but cannot do it in the same turn. 5. Fire times 2. Place 2 fire tokens on free spaces of the board. A fire token can only be placed orthogonally adjacent to a scientist or to an existing fire token. 6. Reinforcements. Place 1 or 2 scientists from your reserve on empty spaces located alongside the long edges of the board. You can only play these scientists on the square tiles, not on the L-shaped tiles. If you do not have any scientists left in your reserve, you do nothing this turn. 7. Fire times 3. Place 3 fire tokens on free spaces of the board. A fire token can only be placed orthogonally adjacent to a scientist or to an existing fire token. 8. Jeep times 4. Perform up to 4 moves with a Jeep. When moving with a Jeep, a scientist can move as many spaces as he or she likes in a straight line, as long as they don't run into an obstacle. Rock, space occupied by a raptor, or by a scientist. If the scientist drives over a fire token, the fire token is put down and the token is removed from the board. You may split these moves between different scientists. 9. No effect. Playing this card is a great way to get action points.
Action points. Players can use action points if they did not play the lowest value card. Action points of the raptor player. The player can split his or her action points as he/she wishes between the mother and the babies that are awake. A raptor can never move onto or move through a space where there is a fire token. Only active raptors, represented by figurines that are standing up, can perform actions. A player does not have to use any or all of their action points. Action points can be spent in 5 different ways. 1. A baby raptor moves 1 space. With 1 action point, a baby raptor can move onto an empty orthogonally adjacent space. If by doing so a baby lands on one of the half spaces of an L-shaped tile, it escapes and is removed from the board. 2. The mother moves in a straight line. With 1 action point, the raptor player can move the mother as many spaces as he/she likes in a straight line, as long as she doesn't run into an obstacle. If, however, the mother is wounded, before performing her first move, the mother must lose as many action points as the number of sleep tokens she has already received. If the raptor player does not have enough action points left to do so, the mother will not be able to move. 3. The mother kills a scientist. With 1 action point, the mother can kill a scientist located on a neighboring space. The figurine of the scientist is removed from the game and put back in the box. Only the mother can attack the scientists. She can perform several attacks in the same turn. 4. The mother wakes up a baby raptor. With 1 action point, the mother can wake up a sleeping baby raptor located on a neighboring space. The figurine is set back to an upright position. The mother cannot wake up a baby that was put to sleep in the same turn. The woken up baby can immediately be moved by using action points. 5. The mother puts out an entire fire. With 1 action point, the mother can use her tail to put out a fire present on a neighboring space. The fire token and all other fire tokens orthogonally connected to it are removed.
Action points of the scientist player. The player can split his action points as he wishes between the scientists present on the board. Scientists can move through fire and shoot across fire, but they cannot end their turn on a space occupied by a fire token. Only active scientists can perform actions. Very important. Each scientist can only perform one aggressive action, shoot or capture, per turn. A player does not have to use all of their action points. Action points can be spent in 5 different ways. 1. A scientist moves one space. With one action point, a scientist can move onto a free orthogonally adjacent space where there is no other scientist and no raptor. If that space contains a fire token, the scientist can move through it, but cannot end his move there. 2. A frightened scientist is set back upright. With one action point, a scientist can be set back to an upright position, but not on the same turn that it was frightened. This scientist can immediately be used for other action points. 3. A scientist puts a baby raptor to sleep. With one action point, a scientist can shoot a baby raptor located on a neighboring space and put it to sleep. Its figurine is laid down. 4. A scientist captures a sleeping baby raptor. With one action point, a scientist can capture a sleeping baby raptor located on a neighboring space. The baby raptor figurine is removed from the board and put on the upper left space of the scientist's player aid. 5. A scientist shoots at the mother raptor. With one action point, a scientist can shoot the mother raptor. The scientist can shoot orthogonally in a straight line as far as desired, as long as there is no obstacle in the line of sight. The only obstacles that can block the shot are rocks and other active scientists. A scientist can therefore shoot across a frightened scientist or across a small baby raptor. The scientist player then gives one of his sleep tokens to the raptor player, who places its Z side up on the right upper space of his player aid.
End of the round. Each player draws up to 3 cards, and the game continues with a new round. Round after round, the played action cards are placed visibly in front of each player so that the values that have already been played can be seen by the opponent. If a player empties his or her draw pile, he or she keeps the cards he or she has in his or her hand, shuffles the discard pile to create a new draw pile, and then draws up to complete his or her hand with 3 cards. End of the game. The raptor player wins immediately if 3 baby raptors have escaped or there are no more scientists on the board. The scientist player wins immediately if the mother has 5 sleep tokens, which neutralizes her, or 3 baby raptors have been captured. So, that's how you play Raptor.